How many flowers in full blossom does your mind have? Pluck not in a single flower out of it. Wait till the flower lives the life in its full and falls into your hands as prasadam. Create a floral pattern in the foreyard of your life with prasadam flowers. Once again, welcome to the News Analysis. News Analysis, a weekly magazine on current affairs. To begin with the main points. Libya conflict, UN urges restraint amid abuse reports. Blast at UN building in Nigerian capital, Abuja. Japan Prime Minister Naoto Kan announces resignation amid criticism. Taiwan ex-president Chen Shui-bian gets extra jail term. Reno Hones put Europe's museums on thieves must-visit list. US widens role in Mexican fight. And now the news in detail. Libya conflict, UN urges restraint amid abuse reports. The United Nations has called on all sides in the Libyan conflict to take steps to ensure there are no acts of violence and revenge. It comes as reports emerge as abuses and alleged summary killings by both rebels and troops loyal to Colonel Gaddafi. The UN has also agreed to release $1.5 billion in Libyan assets which has been frozen under sanction to help immediate humanitarian needs. Fighting has continued in Tripoli, which is now largely in rebel control. Thursday saw gunfights erupting in the city Abu Salim district, one of the few remaining Gaddafi handouts in the capital. The rebels have also been attempting to reach Colonel Gaddafi's hometown of Sirte, but have been met with fierce resistance. There were reports that NATO planes carried out airstrikes on the city overnight. Late on Thursday, the National Transition Council (NTC) said it had now moved its political base from rebel stronghold Benghazi to the capital. According to a rebel spokesperson, half the NTC leadership is now in Tripoli. But the reporters in Benghazi says NTC chairman Mustafa Abdul Jalil and other senior officials are waiting for the situation in Tripoli to stabilize before they move. UK jets bomb Gaddafi hometown bunker. British Tornado jets fired precision-guided missiles against large bunker in Libyan leader Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's hometown of Sirte, the UK Ministry of Defence (MOD) has said. The tornadoes took off from Raf Marhan in Norfolk on a long-range strike mission on Thursday night. Libyan rebels are also building up their forces on the road to Sirte, sending tanks and rocket launchers. Rebel leaders have appealed to foreign governments to unfreeze Libyan funds. The UN has already agreed to release $1.5 billion in Libyan assets which had been frozen under sanctions to help the immediate humanitarian needs. In a statement, the MOD, Ministry of Defense, said a formation of Tornado GR force fired a salvo of Storm Shadow precision-guided missiles against a large headquarters bunker in Sirte.
All the Libyan citizens in Tunisia decided to go to Libya. Now more go to Libya than go from Libya to Tunisia.
Blast at UN building in Nigerian capital, Abuja. There has been an explosion at the United Nations building in the Nigerian capital, Abuja. A journalist heard a loud blast and a police helicopter is circling around the building. There is no word of the cause of the blast. Smoke is said to be billowing from the building. Unconfirmed reports say there have been a number of casualties in the incident. Abuja was the scene of a car bombing at police headquarters in June. Japan Prime Minister Khan announces resignation amid criticism. Japan's beleaguered Prime Minister Naoto Kan has announced his resignation, clearing the way for our country's sixth leader in 5 years. Mr. Khan has been criticized for failing to show leadership after a devastating 11 March earthquake and tsunami and ensuing nuclear crisis. In June, Mr. Khan pledged to quit if Parliament passed the key pieces of legislation, which it did not on Friday. The ruling Democratic Party of Japan will choose a new leader on Monday. Mr. Khan's successor as party head will almost certainly become Japan's next prime minister. Challenges ahead. Mr. Khan announced his decision to stand down at a DPJ meeting, which was broadcast to the nation. He is expected to give a news conference later on Friday. Looking back on nearly 15 months in office, Mr. Khan said he had done all he could given the difficulties he faced, including the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster and political fighting, including within his own party. Taiwan ex-President Chen Shui-bian gets extra jail term. Taiwan's ex-president Chen Shui-bian is already in jail for corruption, has been given an additional sentence for money laundering and forgery. The term of 2 years and 8 months was imposed after a retrial at Taiwan's High Court, in which Chen was also acquitted of another corruption charge. He was jailed for 17 years in 2009. Chen has accused Taiwan's current government of prosecuting him to win favors with China. He strongly supported independence while in power. In this latest case, Chen was initially found guilty of embezzling some $5 million from a special presidential fund while he was in power. But the Supreme Court ordered a retrial last November, criticizing insufficient evidence. Now Taiwan's High Court has acquitted Chen of the charge. The court, however, found him guilty of money laundering and forging documents and handed down the additional 2-year sentence. His lawyer said he would appeal. Chen's wife, a former First Lady Wu Zhijian, received a longer sentence of nearly 12 years at the retrial, but she is unlikely to spend any time in prison because of her poor health, says the reporters. Analysts say the ruling could appease Chen's supporters and help President Ma Ying-jeou, who is seeking re-election in the upcoming January presidential race. Rhino horns put Europe's museums on thieves' must-visit list. The Ipswich Museum contains many alluring and potentially theft-worthy items, including a spectacular 2,000-year-old gold-leaf Egyptian death mask on loan from the British Museum and a rare Hawaiian cap featuring feathers from the extinct oo bird. But when two thieves forced their way in after midnight on July 28, they were seeking something else entirely. Never mind that their target, a large rhinoceros horn, was still attached to its honor, which had been standing blamelessly in the museum since 1907. They just snapped it off, said Brenoni Rukin, the Ipswich Borough Council member in charge of culture. Grabbing a pair of additional horns and the rhino skull they belonged to from a shelf nearby, the thieves disappeared as quickly as they had come. It was like the Pink Panther, Mr. Rukin said, in and out. It might have seemed like a bizarre, anomalous incident, the act of someone with a perverse rhino fetish. But similar thefts, as many as 30 so far this year, have been reported in museums, galleries, antique dealerships, auction houses and homes across Europe as criminals try to feed growing demand in China and other Asian countries, where medicine made from ground rhino horns is believed to act as an aphrodisiac and to cure cancer and other serious diseases. I was quite surprised, I must admit, said Lon Lawson, a detective in the Art of Antiques unit at the Metropolitan Police Service in London, describing his first realization that rhino horn theft have become a serious law enforcement issue. It's taken a bit of time for everyone to wake up to the fact that this is a cross-Europe offense and that they will attack anywhere that has a rhino horn. Mr. Lawson said the galleries and museums should be alert to what they call hostile reconnaissance by would-be thieves. They were also urged to keep images of their rhinos off their websites, to lock the hounds away, or the Natural History Museum in London has done, to replace them with fake hounds. U.S. widens role in Mexican fight. The Obama administration has expanded its role in Mexico's fight against organized crime by allowing Mexican police to stage cross-border drug raids from inside the United States, according to senior administration and military officials. Mexican commandos have discreetly traveled to the United States, assembled and designated areas, and dispatched helicopter missions back across the border aimed at suspected drug traffickers. The Drug Enforcement Administration provides logistical support on the American side of the border. Officials said arranging staging areas and sharing intelligence that helps guide Mexico's decisions about target and tactics. Officials said the so-called boomerang operations were intended to evade surveillance and corrupting influences of criminal organizations that closely monitor the movements of security forces inside Mexico. And they said the efforts were meant to provide settings with tight security for American and Mexican law enforcement officers to collaborate in their pursuit of criminals who operate on both sides of the border.
Let me tell you, this is not Mexico's problem. This is a U.S. problem. The huge amount of money coming back to Mexico through drug consumption in the United States is what is causing this problem of violence in Mexico. We are not a drug-producing nation. We are not a drug-consuming nation. We are just used for transit.
Anna Hazare, India Parliament to debate anti-graft law. India's government has agreed to hold a parliamentary debate on proposal for a strong anti-corruption law in an attempt to persuade the campaigner Anna Hazare to end his hunger strike. The debate, to be held on Monday, is one of the key demands of the activists. Earlier, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh urged Mr. Hazare to call off his fast in Delhi, saying his life is much more precious. Mr. Hazare's hunger strike has entered the 11th day, and his aides say he has lost more than 6 kilograms. He has refused doctors' advice to be put on intravenous drip to help him rehydrate. Mr. Hazare's supporters are demanding the government to pass their proposed anti-corruption bill. Meanwhile, ruling Congress party leader Rahul Gandhi said he had serious doubts that a single bill will end corruption. In a rare speech in Parliament, Mr. Gandhi said corruption cannot just be wished away and thanked Mr. Hazare for helping people to articulate their sentiment. There are no simple solutions to eradicating corruption, but I have serious doubts that a single bill will end corruption. What we require is a set of effective laws, he said. And what about enforcement of laws? Reports say the government has agreed that the parliament will debate the anti-corruption bill proposed by Mr. Hazare, along with two similar bills proposed by the government and a citizen group.